right, so just to kind of get started, I'd like to have each of you introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about what you do, and your opinion on Bitcoin Cash.
Hi, my name is Bobby Lee. I'm the co-founder and CEO at BTCC, also known as BTC China. And so we've been running the longest exchange in China, started in 2011, but recently had a shutdown at the end of September. So long live BTC China. Bitcoin Cash, right? I think Bitcoin Cash came out of a fork in early August. So I think it has strong supporters. I'm surprised by the level of strong support it has. That caught me by surprise. And over the last few months, I've come to a better understanding of why people actually like Bitcoin Cash. At one point, I called it an altcoin. However, having had some more thought on it, I don't think it's an altcoin. I do think it is a legitimate part of Bitcoin. It will be an important part of Bitcoin history. So I think time will tell whether the original so-called the BTC Bitcoin versus the BCH Bitcoin Cash will rule them all. I think both have different purposes right now. Being Bitcoin Cash is more for transactions with the higher blocks throughput. So that's my initial remarks, I would say, for Bitcoin Cash.
Hi everyone, my name is Nishant Sharma. I'm responsible for international public relations and marketing at Bitmain. We are vertically integrated at various levels of the Bitcoin ecosystem, except for exchanges. Yeah, we are mainly manufacturing the chips that mine cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin. And we are also investing in other blockchain and Bitcoin startups worldwide. Talking about Bitcoin Cash, as much as I appreciate different versions of Bitcoins that we have today, I'm not talking about altcoins, I'm talking about forks of Bitcoin. I am a firm believer of on-chain scaling. I believe that without on-chain scaling, there cannot be scalability of Bitcoin. Yeah, that's my belief of Bitcoin Cash.
Hello. Thank you. Hello, my name is Lennix. I'm a financial director of OkEx. Actually, the affiliates of OkEx is the affiliates of OkCoin. So one of the largest exchange in China before. So OkEx is basically offering crypto derivatives that's able to serve, that intended to serve all the crypto investors in the world. So we are one of the largest crypto derivatives exchange in the world that's hoping to provide the best financial instruments for the crypto investor to hedge their exposure. So what I do is basically design financial products for the exchange, but the exchange itself looks more like a financial product itself. So we are trying to maintain a very fairly and orderly market. So talking about Bitcoin Cash, in my opinion, basically Bitcoin Cash is very fundamental in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So basically, it's the philosophy of Bitcoin or the legacy Bitcoin itself is very interesting. So right now, there are even more and more people that are starting to like Bitcoin Cash and starting to endorse Bitcoin Cash because I believe Bitcoin Cash do push some pressure to the legacy Bitcoin in order to create, and I still believe the markets create competition, and competition do eventually benefit Bitcoin itself.
And you mentioned philosophy, right? And this idea of like how we think these decentralized currencies should work. When you think about that, and you look at similarities between philosophies of regular currencies, where would you draw the similarities there?
For what? For Bitcoin?
Yeah, just the idea of like how certain Bitcoin believers think about their currency, and how it relates to how we think about regular currency like the dollar or things like that.
Well, the difference is that if you think about the regular currencies that we are familiar with when we grew up as kids, it turns out those are all creations of government that's imposed on the people. So when I was a kid, we knew money is valuable. But we didn't realize that it was a form of an asset that was forced upon the people by the government. So until the technology allowed for society and humanity to have a decentralized asset class, all previous forms of paper money were all centralized. And I think that's a big change. I think for those of us who've been in crypto for many years, we realized it a few years ago. Whereas for many people, for the rest of the 8 billion people, very few people are still, woken up to that fact. It's almost like in the movie Matrix. You realize, oh my gosh, we've been living in a world of the Matrix, and you can actually get out of it. So that's, to me, that's the biggest thing. Whether you call it the libertarian view, whether you call it, in the end, Bitcoin is just information. And then the information with the technology behind it, the peer-to-peer, decentralized blockchain and all that stuff, allows information to be an asset. And that's unheard of. When I grew up, with the advent of the internet, information was just information. We just communicate, whether it's email, SMS, or Facebook postings. It was just information. But now we're saying information can actually be valuable, and that's a huge change of the world, and that's why you see Bitcoin price. I mean, it's gonna hit $10,000 in the coming days. I mean, I have it on my watch, actually, on my Apple Watch. It's the most important thing. On the bottom of my Apple Watch, I have the price of Bitcoin. Looking at it every day.
Well, I mean, why do you guys think there's so much disagreement then about how it should operate? And then why it fractures into so many different types?
Partly because of the reason that Bobby already mentioned, because it's not owned by some central authority or some person wearing a crown and telling you that this has value. It has value because people own it, they take ownership of it, including the developers, the merchants who accept it, the users who hold it. They all take take ownership of it, and with that also comes a sentiment that they have. They have sentimental value attached to it. Because of which they would like to see Bitcoin going in a way that they expect it to go. And when it doesn't, there are disagreements. And it can't be, because Bitcoin is so decentralized and so disorganized as an organization, it is inescapable. It is part of it.
Do you guys think that then at some point you're talking about how there are purists that really want to things to go a specific way, and then obviously the way we transact online changes. It changes on almost a daily or on almost a daily basis, right? Do you think that over time, as this evolves, the market will kind of force the way we use some things like Bitcoin or blockchain technology onto a single unit, onto maybe Bitcoin or something like that, or where does that go?
I'm afraid I didn't understand your question. Could you repeat that?
Over time, do you think it'll settle down back to a single currency like Bitcoin?
I don't think that's the case. I think the world, we already have multiple cryptos, with Bitcoin being the lead. I think that's how it is. It's just that people have different choice. Just like in regular money, we have the choice of, the most prominent currencies are the US dollars, the euro, the Japanese yen, increasingly the renminbi. And then with precious metal, there's gold, there's silver, there's platinum, there's lots of precious metals and fine jewelry, whether it's diamonds or pearls and rubies. So gemstones, right? So the point is, people always have choice. So it will never be a world where only one currency has a value and the others are valueless.
I believe maybe we should think beyond currency. Maybe Bitcoin itself can be becoming a digital asset class that's a complementary of traditional financial instruments. So it's not only provides a medium transfer, but at the same time provides a very perfect tools for storage of value. And that's getting even more and more unique, distinct characteristic that becoming a very good storage of value. So right now the price go up because I believe it is a perfect hash of right now fiat currency, which have already QE for over 10 years. So I believe Bitcoin itself can be have a different kind of version that's represent a very different kind of philosophy. Maybe some of them are representing a very efficient way as a cash, or another form of Bitcoin will be added as a very efficient way as maybe something like commodities or gold.
I do agree with Bobby and Lennix with that Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies are a new asset class, but I also believe that Bitcoin will remain the most precious commodity in this asset class because of its network effect and the proof of work that it has already backing it up, which is the computational power that secures Bitcoin. Also, Bitcoin was originally envisioned to be a peer-to-peer electronic cash, and being that and having this network effect and the computational power, I believe that it has a long way to go. The price that you see right now is only a fraction of what you would see when it achieves its full potential as a peer-to-peer electronic cash.
And why do you guys think that, I mean, if this is the case, you're the experts here, if you can tell me, that it's become an asset class is so frustrating to the original, the original miners and the original users of Bitcoin?
What has become an asset class?
Bitcoin. In terms of like holding Bitcoin as like a stored value instead of using it as a currency.
It's become frustrating to miners?
No, has it?
I don't think so. I think Bitcoin is different to different people, meaning there is the store of value aspect, there's a transacting of value aspect, there's just the freedom of owning your own assets, controlling it fully by having the private key. So there's different use cases for Bitcoin. I think that's why Bitcoin has resiliency and has values, because it actually has different use cases. So how people use it in China has been for, as you know, it's been for speculative trading. People in Europe use it a lot for payments, day-to-day payments. And so different parts of the world, like in South America, people use Bitcoin for holding value against inflation of their local currency. So in different regions of the world, different cultures, different people, miners, what do they use Bitcoin for? They use it as a form of making money. So as earning money, earning foreign exchange, if you will. So it's a global phenomenon. So I don't think one use case will upset the other guys.
And so then why has there been this just proliferation of different coins outside of Bitcoin that have also rapidly increased in value?
Well, originally Bitcoin was envisioned to be a peer-to-peer decentralized electronic cash. Unfortunately, there came a point, or maybe because it was going so well, that the transactions became so much that it had scaling issues. And then because it is so disorganized and everyone is so attached to it, the scaling issue did not have one solution that everyone agreed to. The two major parts of the community that came up were one that believed in off-chain scaling solutions and the other believed in on-chain scaling solutions. While the debate between them kept going on, other cryptocurrencies came in, and other cryptocurrencies offered various new innovative features and did not have these scaling issues, and they took away this market share. So you saw this proliferation of various other cryptocurrencies.
I believe I agree with you with it, because I believe the different kind of version of Bitcoin, because as a distributed ledger, as an open source distributed ledger, DLT technologies, basically it's very hard to strike the balance in between security, scalability, as well as speed. So maybe a different kind of philosophy and different kind of group of people have a different kind of roadmap, and so maybe put the scalability as a more priority or the speed a priority. So that's the reason. That's why there's so many forks of Bitcoin, because everyone has different kind of roadmap, and the market still up to their design which one fulfill their representation of their vision of their Bitcoin.
And so there was a report that came out a couple days ago that did some forensic analysis that basically suggested that millions of Bitcoins are just gone, right? They're like vanished into thin air. Well, not thin air, obviously, right? But there's a series of factors that led to them being gone. Do you think that, and we talked about this a little bit backstage, do you think that scarcity also plays a role in terms of making these, making people want to explore like new options outside of Bitcoin?
I think it's normal. So the topic is that probably millions of Bitcoin are actually locked up and forever not accessible. The owners are not to be found. The owners are not able to get to it. It's very much like everything else in the world, whether it's gold, millions of dollars worth of gold that was mined and dug up from the bottom of the earth are actually lost, either at the bottom of the sea from from sunken ships or from whatever reason, they're turned into industrial stuff that's now in landfills. The same is true with money. Imagine, drug lords having tons of cash of US dollars hidden somewhere and left forgotten or burned up or whatever. So the reality is all asset classes, same with stocks, same with real estate, a good portion is always abandoned and irretrievable, and that's just how life is. And that shows why, even though we say there are 16 million Bitcoins in circulation, it feels like there's only about 4 to 5, or maybe at most 10 million in circulation or actually owned by real people. So I think that's fine. It is what it is, because the initial amount, 21 million, was arbitrary anyways. So it could have been 200 million, it could have been 2 million. That doesn't matter to me.
I agree with Bobby on this. To add to that, if you draw an analogy with the current fiat system, you have so many bank robberies since forever where people are still stealing all this gold from banks or cash when cash became currency. I mean, paper notes from banks. And you can't even list them all these bank robberies which happened. The same but with Bitcoin hacks, there haven't been so many. There probably will be more in the future. It's only a learning point for exchanges which are acting as banks to be more secure and safe.
And you talked a little bit earlier about how all these coins have their own purposes, right, outside of Bitcoin. Do you think that eventually, as we go, as our use of cryptocurrency evolves over time, that there will always be a place for all these little niches, and the way we use cryptocurrency is just the sum of the niches?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Is the way we use cryptocurrency in the future like the sum of these niche use cases like Ethereum and Litecoin and things like that, or that we say it's like, oh, like, is Bitcoin dead? Well, it's like, or is it always going to be that case?
I think you will be hearing these news all the time that Bitcoin is dead. It has been there since forever. We talked about it backstage as well.
Let's ask the audience. Tell us your opinion. Have you in the past really thought that this time Bitcoin is dead? Anyone? No? No one? Never? Some people raise their hand. In 2013? No? January 2017 this year? September? Who sold their coins on September 14th when we announced closure of BTC China? Who like panic sell? Anyone? No one?
Our better question is, how many of you heard about Bitcoin in 2010? And out of these, did you buy Bitcoin? Are you still holding it? Okay, so that means you thought it was dead or it wasn't worth buying.
So what I see is that there are parts of the world, especially the wealthy, the well-to-do, people who are in high places in the existing financial system, they do not want to see Bitcoin succeed. They definitely do not want to see Bitcoin succeed. So they're the ones who've been saying bad things about it. I remember I had an interview with Lang Xianping about 4 years ago. You guys know what I'm talking about. I was arguing with him. This is a TV host in China, financial sort of economics TV program. I was arguing with him that Bitcoin has value. He thinks Bitcoin has no value. And I said, what if someone gave you 100 free Bitcoins? He's like, oh no, I wouldn't take it. It's like, to me, it's valueless. So that 100 Bitcoins is now $1 million US. 6.6 million RMB. And I guess too bad he didn't take it. And good thing I didn't give it to him.
Well, so why do they want it to fail?
Why what?
Why do they want Bitcoin to fail?
They don't think it's possible that something outside their realm is valuable. I think it's not that they want it to fail, they're just very narrow-minded. So it's kind of like if you're a real estate developer, all you care about is housing prices. You don't think about gold, silver, you don't think about foreign currencies. So it's kind of like that. It's just this narrow tunnel vision. So crypto has only been around for less than 10 years. So, in the audience, at least for myself, many of my so-called friends of my parents, many of them made money in the real estate business. Does that make sense? I don't know about you. Like some of my parents' friends, they made money in the real estate business. I think the next generation, when my children grow up, their parents, many of them will have made money in the crypto business. Right, so that's what I think. Like the people here. I hope many of you have invested in crypto. However small amount you've invested, I truly believe those will turn into large amounts. Give it 20 years, 40 years. So yeah, hopefully that answers some of that question.
Well, if we keep saying that Bitcoin is dead, then what are the big misconceptions around it? Why do we keep saying it's dead?
We don't say it.
Well, I know we do, though.
Oh, you do.
No, the media has killed Bitcoin hundreds of times.
So you should answer the question for us. Why do you keep saying Bitcoin is dead?
I'm not the expert. That's why I'm here to talk to you guys.
But we don't say it, though. I don't say it.
We surely don't believe it's dead. We've been buying it since we got to know about it or understand it, and well, I think the idea that it's dead comes from insecurities that the establishment or financial institutions have, who may be irrelevant because of this decentralized currency. By these financial institutions, I mean this global network of banks or clearing houses that charge maybe 30 to 50 euros or USD to send money from China to US or Europe, and even more if you send it to a poor country in Africa. For them, it's just unbelievable that something could just take everything away, and so fast. Something so new, something so volatile, could just take it away.
Yeah, one more thing. A lot of times when people say it's dead, it's because they don't understand it. They don't bother to take the time to go and learn about it. So it's easy to dismiss it. Like when I first heard about Bitcoin, the very first moment, my brother Charlie told me about it in, I think it was early 2011. You know, for the first 2 minutes, I was like, oh yeah, it's just something online. But the more I went to learn about it, the more I understood it, and the more I realized it's valuable. So for Jamie Dimon or Long Champagne, if they don't study it, then I don't blame them. Well, it's too bad, right?
Yeah, so I strongly agree with Bob because I've been working in traditional financial for like 10 years. So I strongly believe that because people living in finance, that they understand everything in terms of, they think the financial architecture or the infrastructure have been built for so many years. And there's so many market players that prove they think it's efficient, or they think it's safe, they think it's compliant, because it's maybe generally is beneficial to ordinary investor. But actually it's not true. Finance itself is getting a lot more capital intensive, or the financial big bank or the financial institution is getting a lot more capital hunting. They only serve the high net worth, or they only serve the biggest institution in the world. But right now, if they really look into the blockchain or each means, actually blockchain or its cryptocurrency actually bring back the fundamental value of finance, that's the distributed wealth and societal resources back to the ordinary people in a cost-effective way.
So do you think that they're gonna, you say that they're ignoring it or don't want to believe in it, do you think that they will soon enough?
I think they will. I think over time people will come around. Just ask the audience, did you believe in Bitcoin the first moment you heard about it, or did you believe in it more, understand it more over time? Anyone understand it more and believed in it more after they learned more about it in the audience? Yeah? We'll see a few hands. Yeah, I think that's going to happen. So whether it's Long Champagne or Jamie Dimon, I think one day if they actually spend the time and the energy to go learn about it, they're like, maybe this has value. Maybe this is better than I thought it was. It's just like me and Bitcoin Cash. At first I dismissed it. Very true. And now actually I think Bitcoin Cash is quite decent. I thought, they're talking about what's behind it, the reasons why.
25 years ago when internet was new, internet is a very good analogy because it was a decentralized information sharing system which anyone in the world could possibly access. People thought that internet was just a failed experiment in the beginning. 25 years ago, you had these quotes circulating on the internet. Famous people, established people telling you that it's just failed, and we have the same now. I do believe, like I said before, like also Lennix said, that these people who are propagating this belief that Bitcoin is dead have profit to make from this belief or the propagation of this belief.
So I believe the beauty of blockchains is not just improve or trying to disrupt finance, it's actually broaden the entire spectrum of finance. So basically, right now, blockchain is nothing more than cash. It's more than that. It's much more than that. It's a value peer-to-peer transfer. Basically, you can extend your definition of asset class much more bigger than traditional financial world. So you can transact data in blockchain. You can transact personal identity blockchain. You can transact effort on blockchain. So basically, you can never do that in traditional financial world because it's very difficult to price, very difficult to create economical model or financial product in traditional financial world. But blockchain can do that. So I believe it will create another value for the societies, and it's eventually benefits to everyone.
And what's it going to take for them to stop trying to kill Bitcoin? What's it going to take for people like Jamie Dimon to actually take it serious and stop trying to kill it?
I think his organization, JP Morgan, I think they help their clients buy Bitcoin. So in some sense, they're already doing it. I think if they cater to the wealthy, well, one day, us will be wealthy. We'll be in the wealthy class. And in terms of his clientele, I think his wealthy class people are looking to investing in crypto, family offices, hedge funds, and so on. I think more and more part of the upper echelon of society, they're looking into crypto, investing in it. The reason is they're scared, they're really scared about their money losing value. That's why if you ask the rich people, they don't hold cash. They don't hold money in bank accounts. They only hold real assets, whether it's real estate, stocks, and other investments. They never, even art and wine, they don't hold cash because they know cash it just gets worth less and less over time. It's the poor people who are ending up holding the cash and getting screwed by the printing and all that. So I think that's why Bitcoin prices run up. I think especially 2018, 2019, the trend is for large funds to move big money into crypto assets where it's defined limited supply.
A good point that just came out of what Bobby just mentioned is maybe they're saying it to short Bitcoin to make sure they can drop the price as much as possible for their clients to buy.
Yes, I believe maybe the coming 6 or 1 year, institutional money will come in play and play a major part in the crypto investing. And the good thing about institutional money is they're much more rational than retails. So I believe the volatility of Bitcoins will be less volatile compared to maybe past 5 years. And the price of the Bitcoin will be a lot more, they're looking to a lot more mean reversion than right now is pretty momentum.
And what's it going to take for Bitcoin to really, really hit the mainstream, right? I mean, right now that you have people like Jamie Dimon trying to kill it, right? And you have the purists and you have people that actually know how it works and how it operates, sending the value of it really, really, really high. What's it going to take for the average human to fully understand it and really embrace it?
For me, I think it might correlate with the inflation rate of Bitcoin. So today, Bitcoin is still growing quite fast. We're past it 16 million. We're going to go to 17 million. So for the next few years, we're going to do another block halving. So after a few more block halvings, it's going to reach 18, 19, 20 million. And by then, 90% of Bitcoins are out in circulation. I think that's when the supply matures, first of all. And I think that's also might be the time when the society matures its thought process around Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies.
I believe that Bitcoin will be mainstream when it becomes what it was envisioned to be, which is a peer-to-peer decentralized electronic cash, a payment system that anyone can use with sub-cent transaction fees, a payment system that can be used by the unbanked in Africa or developing nations. Imagine that you have a $25 or $30 Android phone in a village in Africa that doesn't have electricity, but it has a mobile connection, and that phone acts as the bank. Not a bank account, but a bank for the whole village. And that can only be possible when Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer decentralized electronic cash. When it doesn't have scaling issues, you have fast transaction confirmations, sub-cent fees, and when that happens, there's no turning back. It's just like, it'll just become mainstream very fast.
I believe, I agree with you, because I believe the countries of jurisdiction that will firstly adopt Bitcoin might be some of the countries that are unbanked, which are a lot of unbanked people, or they need to expose to a large currency fluctuation. And that particular jurisdictional countries will have a very high needs in terms of Bitcoin. But at the same time, they need to deal with the Bitcoin, the technology itself. So maybe they need to have a current constant access to electricity, or they need to have some kind of mobile applications that can access the wallet. The people need to have knowledge on that. So maybe the jurisdiction have the countries that have a high demand on Bitcoin in order to preserve their national wealth. But at the same time, those kind of companies need to keep up and to make it much more user-friendly of using or spending Bitcoin. That will his main adoption.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
We're giving out free Bitcoins at the Mobi booth upstairs. So download the Mobi wallet, come get some free Bitcoins.
And feel free to talk to us off stage about Bitcoin. I'd be happy to discuss Bitcoin or Bitcoin mining. Also, Bitmain is recruiting people in commercial as well as engineering aspects in offices in Europe, Israel, USA, and China. Feel free to hit me up regarding that to ask more about Bitmain. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Got to get that.